Greek word.
Recording in progress.
But it's considered Hebrew. By the way, that's another very, very interesting thing. The connection between us and the Greeks, the ancient connection, is incredibly intimate, and that's why the possibility of us slipping and becoming them was such a great threat, because Torah is so, in many respects, so closely related to their thought processes that we
this was just the commentary that I read, and that's all I got.
I would definitely not hold that way. I would definitely not hold that way. No,
Why?
I'm not gonna hold that.
So we'll do that on our own.
Let's wrap.
Too easy. That's just too easy. Hi, David.
A little deeper.
Hi, Rabbi. How are you?
We miss you out here. Come on down. Okay, so Aspaklaria, amen, is part of what we spend our lives doing, bringing more yeda into the world, right? The fact is that it is a Greek term, and the fact is that the intimacy and the closeness between us and Greek thinking, scholarship, philosophy, probably not now, because the Greeks are not the people they were, but in the earliest stages of man are overt, are sensitive, and that's why the whole Hanukkah thing with the Assyrian Greeks was a make or break, because had we slipped a little bit more, and it wasn't a hard thing to slip into, because the similarities are great. By the way, there's a midrash that says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was choosing between Greece and Israel in terms of what would be the promised land, right? So there's the only other language a Torah could be written in is Greek. What? Isn't Lashon HaKodesh Lashon HaKodesh? It sure is, but then there's Greek. So Aspaklaria, and you're going to see other Greek terms from here to there, because there is real kinship and closeness, and that's why we have to be so fiercely protective of what we have vis-a-vis them, because the ability to slip that way was okay. Now,
But the system of beliefs is completely different.
right, that was the issue. So the value system was a lot the same. The pining for scholarship, the reverence of scholarship was a lot the same, but the belief system was completely different, but people weren't making that distinction. And that's why we had a problem. Great. Good. Now, so we own that concept.
I'm sorry. In terms of then Hanukkah, when we were fighting the Greeks and everything, I always thought they just hated us, like to their core. You're saying it's more like what, like a sibling rivalry type of thing?
It was mostly civil war. Hanukkah was mostly civil war. It was mostly civil war because we had become so influenced by that culture that the chances of stepping away from it were going down to zero. So our enemy was mostly within. It wasn't mostly without. It was mostly within. And that's the real that was the real struggle, and that's really the story behind the story, the key story. Okay, I just mentioned that as a sidebar, but okay. So Aspaklaria, right? Adam and Hava, it will become ours over time as we continue to discover, to write, to research, to develop, to open up all this knowledge. Where is all the knowledge? The knowledge is inside people, right? So you have a ton of knowledge in you that you need to reach in to bring out. The knowledge is not out there. Same goes for everybody. Another core component in Judaism, right? We talked about that some time ago, that the knowledge is in, not out. The perspective, the Western perspective is that the knowledge is out there. I've got to get it. I've got to master it. I've got to tame it. I've got to make it work or not, right? And then I've got to push it. We have a very different perspective. Our perspective is everybody, you have a ton of knowledge in you that you can access throughout your life to enrich your life, his life, our lives, the world in general, huh?
In practice, though, what's the difference? Because you still.
Oh,
have to
in
reach
practice,
out and
difference
access
is
it.
fantastic. You tell me what the difference is in practice. Very good question. What's the difference in practice? The knowledge is in me, or if it's 3 feet away? What's the difference? I may not get there. What do you mean? It's only 3 feet away. Okay, but I can't walk 3 feet. No, no. I can't get there. It's in the other person's mind. I can't hear it. So when Moshe Rabbeinu makes the statement that it's ki karov elecha hadavar, right? How do we understand that? We understand that as an absolute call to action with a very different designed reality. The reality is that it's in me. Now, how much of it do I want to reveal? How much do I want to explode with? That becomes the question.
Isn't Karol so close? Not.
Yes, it is. But in the context of the psukim, we define karov as in. We define in the context of the psukim, we define karov as betoch.
Okay.
But you're absolutely right; it's close. And the closeness in this case is it's immediately available for me to access. Now, what you will find, I think some of you have already found it, as you continue to learn, you realize that it wasn't out there, that it's in here. It just needed the trigger, it needed the stimulant, it needed the key, it needed the formula. And once you have the formula, how come this formula that spoke about this led to that? Because this was waiting to be tapped.
What we talking about, all knowledge or Jewish knowledge?
We're talking about Torah knowledge.
Quran.
Torah knowledge, good.
What was the passage you quoted?
Okay, it's in Bahalotcha. Yeah, you're in Bahalotcha?
I'm in Nitzavim.
Anitzavim, good. So read it in the Hebrew and the English?
Yes.
Oh, by the way, good, beauty. You're actually catching more of it. It answered your question better. Go ahead. read it more.
Rather, the matter is very near to you, in your mouth and in your heart to perform it.
Beauty. And what is your heart? When we have the term live, what do we do?
Be your close-
Beauty, my beauty. There we go. Now, by the way, this is
talking about the entirety of the Torah.
Where did you find that?
it's in Parashat
I
Savim.
didn't even know it was there.
No, because we actually touched on this.
I opened up this page pretty much every time we've been in person.
Isn't that nice?
It always comes up. This is the source for Mashiach. You want to read through it? We learned it together last year.
That's right. All right, but so Noah, to your point, honey, what does this do to a person's life? It totally changes a person's life because it puts the demand level to a much greater level. It ain't over there. By the way, that's what people don't read in the pasuk. They don't read into the pasukim that even if it was 3 feet away, you might not get there. Not you would, but right? It could be an inch away and I wouldn't get there. But if it's sitting right here in my mouth, in my heart, what are you talking about? Okay, so that's the way the system works in terms of Torah and all the levels. Now we have another thing, which is called hafochba v'hafochba. We touched on it very briefly in one of the last Mishnayot that we didn't prepare about. What does it mean? Hafochba v'hafochba. What does that mean? Turn it over and then turn it over again. Meaning what?
You're at the same place. Yeah.
Huh?
You're at the same place as you were at the beginning.
Beautiful. Go back to the same place, learn the same thing again, and turn it on its head. So how are you going to continue to bring out the yeda that you have? By drilling deeper in something you've already done. What are you talking about? How many times you want to do the same thing? 101. What do you mean? How could it be 101? Doesn't that sound redundant? Never. It's never redundant. So what do you mean? The wellspring of knowledge in me is that immense? The answer is yes. So we need to own this, because when you own this, it's a different perspective about knowledge. Right? By the way, most people don't think this way. I'm a teacher. You're not a teacher. You're an enabler. You're a facilitator. He's got the goods. You're just giving him the tools to connect this term with that and this concept with that. You're not teaching him anything. But we have these misplaced perspectives, and people think they own the knowledge and I'm giving him the knowledge. You're giving him the tools to access that which he has. Now you're going to ask the average person, do you know that physics? He's going to say, I don't know that physics. You do. So I need an enabler. I need an enabler to just give me the verbiage, to just give me the tone, to give me the words. That's what I need. I don't need you to give me the concepts. They were given to me already.
So what's the?
Do we know the physics or
Huh?
only the Torah knowledge?
Well, there's a ton of physics in Torah, as you're going to teach us. There you go. Wise guy. No, you're a little bit of a wise guy sometimes. Oh, you're baiting me with that question. Whoa, look at that. Yeah. What were you saying?
What's the root of the word morah? Like if it's not to teach, what is that word?
The horot. Beautiful. It's the horot. What does that mean?
Parent.
Huh? No, you're very close though. Huh?
Like
It means to direct. Hora'ah. By the way, what does Torah mean? Does it mean content? No. Huh?
No, it's
It's lehorot. It's all it is direction. I want to give a person the direction to unveil, to I don't even want to use the word discover, so it's the wrong word. To give the language, to give the voice to what sits inside of them. And that's why you're going to see all these things happen when you're committed to when knowledge becomes a love of your life. Knowledge has to be a love of your life. Just like you love your spouse, you love your children, you love a beautiful day, you love it intensely, right? You have to love knowledge intensely. Then you're in the Hora'ah zone. Then you have this capacity. And then when do you stop getting smarter? Never. And there's no such thing. And that's why, we revere the older person, but there's a very exciting back and forth in the Gemara. Do you just revere the older person, or do you revere the older person with knowledge? And on the flip side, well, what about if a younger person with knowledge? So where is the reverence? Is the reverence from the age, clocking of time, or is the reverence from the knowledge and the combination? Well, if the reverence is from the knowledge and the combination, got it. Well, what if you have the knowledge? What's the machriya? What's the bigger factor? Is it the knowledge or is it the age? Well, if it's knowledge, then when the person is young, they should get some respect. Okay, the rabbis are back and forth on it. The point is, that's the discussion, because the knowledge continues to be explored and revealed and articulated. Good. So that's the headline, Aspaklaria, and we had it in Adam Chava, and it's in all of us. And the sooner that we reveal the knowledge in us, each of us, the sooner we'll get back to a stage of absolute Aspaklaria. Okay, so we have this much of it revealed now and this much in people. So as soon as the people step up more and more, as they step up more and more to reveal more and more, we'll move that much faster to a humanity, or at least the Jewish people, but then a humanity that has this absolute spectacular understanding of things.
And this is why we have the opinion that in the womb, children are taught everything, and then
Yeah, that's where that midrash comes from. That song, Little Neshama, the song.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a great little song. Okay, now we believe that Moshe Rabbeinu had this aspaklaria. If he didn't have it to the full, he had it almost to the full. Okay. Did he have it full, almost full? There's different opinions, but he was in this zone, which was the zone that only Adam and Hava were in before him, and nobody before, nobody since, yet. Okay, great. So now the question becomes, what did that mean for Moshe Rabbeinu? What did that clairvoyance mean for Moshe Rabbeinu? And we say that it meant that he was able to access this knowledge at will. Right? Because if you have the aspaklaria, you don't have to push buttons. You virtually access it at will, right? It's the same way we access the knowledge we own at will, right? Okay. So now comes the question And we say other prophets didn't have aspacleria. What they have is the capacity because of their elevated state. And the elevated state, by the way, for a prophet is not only knowledge, it's chesed, it's emotion, it's financial stability. It's very interesting that a prophet has to be financially stable. Isn't that something? Why? Why is it? Because I want to have that clarity, right? Good. So the other Nevi'im, all other Nevi'im, we hold, all other Nevi'im have the ability to access knowledge through a portal. What is the portal? The portal is a mar'eh, a vision, a riddle, and then they take that vision or riddle, they use mathematics, they use this, they use that, and they build a prophetic word.
Even the question Mishpat was somewhat of a riddle where the Kohen Gadol for Kana misunderstood it because they don't tell you the order of the letters. and so on.
Beautiful. That's right. And depending on, and we see with Eli, where he made the mistake that he made, right? Instead of Kishera, he read it Shikora, right? Beautiful. Okay, good. So the other Nevi'im don't have the same clairvoyance, great word, don't have it, and need a portal. Okay, so we have Adam and Chava, we have the concept of Asakleria, we have the concept of the knowledge within, right? Not over here, even over there. We have Moshe Rabbeinu, and we have everybody else. Good? Great. At the end of this week's parasha, Miriam speaks negatively about Moshe. And what does she say? She says, why does he distance his Isha Kushit, right? And what's the problem with that? He wasn't married to an Isha Kushit, an Ethiopian lady or a black lady. Kushi, Kush, from Kush.
Oh, I never picked up on that.
Nobody does. Not nobody, but most people don't. What's going on here?
We learned it in school though, but they never.
They're not drilling. They're not drilling, maybe. Isha Kushit, gentlemen. Was he married to an Isha Kushit? He was married to who? Sipora. Where'd she come from? Midian. She was a Midianite. She wasn't Kushit. What is Miriam talking about?
Wasn't he in Kush?
He was in Kush?
Right.
Beautiful. Excellent.
Like 40
And
years.
yeah, 40 years, 70
One
years,
of the
60 years.
Midrash says He was
He was the
leader.
king of Kush, right? Beautiful. And now what do you want to do? Go work with this thing that, huh?
Is that where the Ethiopian Jews came from?
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, so
So what's she
the
talking about?
Midrash says that he was there for decades,
And then he-
and maybe he was the king of Kush, and maybe he married a lady.
Right.
Okay, he married a lady, and as he begins to have this aspacleria, he divorces her because he feels that he can't get there with her. So it seems, I want to give you an overview, and then I want to drill down with you next week, God willing. But I want you to struggle with this, and then I want to go into the Psukim with you next time. But I want you to struggle with this a little bit. It seems that Miriam is saying, by the way, who is the greatest Navi after Moshe? Miriam. When Miriam was greater than her father, right? In fact, Miriam, she's the prophetess for the Geulah. And her father, the Midrash cynically says, when they take Moshe, they put him in the tub. What does her father tell her? What about you and your old great prophecy? You remember that baby that you forced me to have? He's about to be drowned. So tell me, Miss Miriam, about you and your prophecy. All right, it's a very cynical Midrash, but it drives the point that
Did he ever get punished for that?
for this clarity. What, David?
Did he ever get punished for that?
I don't know.
I thought he was one of the people who never sinned.
One of the people who never seen was David's father. I don't know about Moshe's father being that. I'm not sure, but okay. So now we have Miriam saying, you got rid of the Cushite lady. Okay. Now, so the rabbis want to say as follows. They want to say that, and then HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Miriam and Aharon that no, Moshe Rabbeinu is an on demand guy when it comes to prophecy. He doesn't need to access it the way you do. If he didn't need to access it the way they did, what's this whole story about the separating from the ladies? So this is what I want you to hear, and I want you to struggle with it because I want to do it inside the Psukim. Okay, but I want you to think about it. A was saying that he had the greatest level of clairvoyance, right? The greatest level, right? Since Adam B'Chava, which meant that he could see things that nobody else could see. Miriam says that you got rid of wife number 1 and wife number 2. Why did you do that?
And
And the way it's typically explained is that you had to get rid of your wife in order to see the prophecy. And Hakadosh Baruch Hu goes and tells Miriam, he is a much greater prophet than you. So you would come back and say, if he's a much greater prophet than them, why does he have to get rid of the wife? And the rabbis answer that
Angelic
he
level.
is a greater prophet to them, but even that being the case, he needed to be in his own pristine reality. Okay, so what Miriam is talking about and what HaKadosh Baruch Hu answers don't seem to line up based on the pasuk. So we have to go one step further and say that Miriam knew that Abraham had a higher level, that Moshe had a higher level. She knew it. She wasn't contesting his prophetic ability. She thought that being that he had the greatest level of aspacleria, he didn't need to separate from anyone. And the Torah comes back to say that he did. Okay?
I was always under the impression that the story went, why is he separating from his wife? Should we be doing that as well between her and Aharon? Is that it? Is that effective?
If he has a higher level of prophecy, why does he have to do it? Why does he have to do it? In other words, it's not that Miriam questions his level of prophecy. She questioned that on that level, why does he have to do it?
I thought she was questioning why was he commanded to do it? Why weren't we as well? Should we be separated from our spouses?
Right, but that's how it's typically explained. That's why I'm bringing it to you. And I want you to struggle with this explanation, which I believe is much more accurate. And then I want to look at it in the text. Okay, so she recognizes his greater level of prophecy. You had to. You couldn't not. What she didn't understand was, if he has this greater level of prophecy, why does he need isolation? Now, for our purposes, we got to look at that question. Why did he? What does it all mean? So that's where I want to go.
But my mind is going like, could she be saying, well, if you have this great prophetic ability, how come you married her? How come you separated from her? Didn't you know when you married her that you were going to separate from her? Or is your error? Obviously, you have a defect.
Something.
Something like
Right,
that.
good.
Does that make sense?
It could. It could. So,
They prophesize on like things like that. I thought the prophecy was more for like the nation as a whole, for like day to day.
it seems like, it seems like, and it's a very important point, it seems like the prophecy enabled everything. In other words, without making the distinction between Moshe Rabbeinu and the other prophets, this book becomes invalid. Because if this book was based on riddles and visions that another person went and put together, then it's not valid enough to define a people and a legacy and a dream. It's not defined, it's not enough. And that's why Harambam brings it in the 13 principles. He makes the point very clear that Moshe Rabbeinu's prophecy is an altogether different prophecy. And we have to demand that. I'm saying, look at it the other way. I'm saying you, me, all of us have to demand that Moshe Rabbeinu's prophecy is a different prophecy.
You saw everything.
Good. And we have to go there. We have to go there, Noah. We have to understand more. I'm bringing this whole thing because I want to take Aspacleria, I want to bring it to Moshe, I want to park it here, and I want to demand of us that we go and we figure out as much as we can about what it is, because it is the underpinning of everything we are, right? Good.
Is it also why we don't know where Moshe is buried? You know, how we were talking about last week along those lines. You know, like he was on a different level, and that's why everything about him had to be safeguarded so that there's no unintended consequence.
Yeah, it could be. Good. All right.
It wasn't buried in Israel, so we didn't want, I guess it was also that we didn't want another pilgrimage point outside of Israel.
I think it's a very, very, very complex question on why Moshe Rabbeinu was not buried in Israel. It's a very difficult question.
Who says he's not? Do we know that he's actually on Har Sinai or?
We don't know which mountain was Har Sinai.
Right,
not-
but
It was made in before time. It was in Ben Hashemashot, right?
Yeah, that's right. His burial place. Very good. But we'll talk more next week. I want to dig in more to Aspaklaria. I want to dig in more to Moshe Rabbeinu's prophetic ability to whatever extent we can understand it. We'll go a little bit into the mystical side of it as well. Because it's really an underpinning of two things. It's an underpinning of who we are and the roadmap of who we are. And it's an underpinning of this knowledge that is in us that we can access, because everybody is a contributor to the Aspaklaria. Everybody is. So if I'm a contributor, I have to know what I have and how to access it. Good. Okay, good. So we set a little bit of a stage for that. Great. Okay, let's go back to Megillat Ruth a minute, 1269. And I want to
I see you,
David.
Rabbi. It's okay.
spot, David, because we did this yesterday.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Sorry.
Okay.
I won't give the answers away.
Uh-huh.
I won't give the answers away.
All right. All right, good, thank you. Okay. 1269. We're gonna do the hafoch, right? Right, so we're gonna go back at it. And I don't want to belabor this. I don't want to belabor it. I want to take another couple of shots at it. David and I did some great work on it yesterday.
Thank you.
I want to take another couple of shots at it, and then what Megillat Ruth, thank you, honey. I have my book, but thank you. Megillat
Use
Ruth
that as another slide.
has to be, Megillat Ruth is one of those things that has to be learned really in detail, and you need to take a year, maybe not a year, but a number of months at it, because it's a very early work. It's very early. It's much earlier than Megillat Esther, and it's much more defining in terms of us understanding our relationship with God and so on. So it's really critical in that respect. So I want to do a little hafoch ba'hafoch. Amen. I want to go back into the psukim we learned, and David's going to help me. Go back. Go ahead. Oh, you weren't with us for it. Okay. All right. So, all right, good. Go for it.
Want to start?
Yeah.
So we just go with.
We'll go another 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Okay, gentlemen. Okay, great. Okay, go. How about
Let's just go.
go? And the guys are gonna step in. Okay. How about questions? Let's go fast. Move
So
through
we
it.
have Vahi, we have the Shvet Shofatim, we have another Vahi, Ba'aretz, and then we have the Lagor versus Lalechet
Mhm.
with Abraham.
Yeah.
Bisdel we have,
Mhm.
and then, yeah, that's all.
Okay, good.
What are you looking for?
That's enough.
Okay, what are we looking for? What are we looking for?
Prophecy.
Huh?
Foresight.
And more. What are we looking for?
Mutuality.
Well, look, oh, that's the overarching thing. Very good. I gotta really watch what I say here. Right, that's our headline, right? Michelle is our headline. But I want you to drill down in the psukim belt. I want to do a hafochba. We learned this together. Many of us learned this together. I want you to go back at the same pasuk. I want to refine your skills a little bit more. I want you to go back at the same pasuk, ask the questions that we asked, and then go to the next question. So let's go. David, you have two vayihis. What does that mean?
So,
David?
so the word, so when the word Vayihi is there, except for Bereshit, it denotes that something bad is happening.
Excellent. Now I got two of them.
So it discusses the severity of each of those instances. I'm trying to choose my words carefully so I don't give the answers away. I can just give it.
Yeah, wise guy, I could just give it. All right, give me the second Vayehi. Come on. Vayehi. Okay, I have a Vayehi connected to my Ra'ab. I have a Vayehi connected to Shafat Shofatim. That's one negative story. And I have another Vayehi. How could we have written the Pasuk differently, Stephen? Let's go.
See, if you didn't have the second one, then it would just be flowing.
Beautiful. And how would you have written the Pasuk? Beautiful. Beauty. I don't need the second Vayehi at all. Great.
It's disconnected, totally different times, like
It's
separating them.
it's separating them and it's calling it out. I have a Vayehi A of the judges being worse than the people. I have a Vayehi B of what?
The people being, having no merits.
Beautiful. Now, that might be the answer, but there's something going on there because I have a separate Vayehi. I have to put a period, and then I have to look at Vayehi Ra'ab Ba'aretz as another period, okay?
So just to give you a little numerology.
Oh, no, what have we created?
So Vayehi is 31. You have two Vayehis is 62. Hashem's name, Yud Kei Vav Kei, is 26. 62 is the mirror image, 26. Hashem is turned upside down.
Wow.
And the Torah is full of you said mutuality, but I'm thinking about symmetry and mirror images were created with Tselem Elokim. So there's a mirror image here.
So we turned out, you want to say we turned our backs on God. In other words,
Yeah,
the opposite. So Vayehi is how much again? 62, 31.
But there's two Vayehis,
So-
is 62.
The opposite of
The
26.
Hashem Yud Kei Vav Kei is 26.
Very nice.
No, just-
You got to start recording these. No, this is very nice.
That's 30 seconds.
Okay. There you go. I started that. See that? We're already international. We are moving, man.
Click.
That's great. That was even less, maybe, right? Beautiful. It's God's help. Great. Okay. Next one. Ba'aretz. Hamzak. Do I need Ba'aretz?
World.
Huh?
We don't need ba'aretz.
We definitely don't need Ba'aretz, right? Therefore, what?
There wouldn't be shofatim outside of the land of Israel.
Huh?
There's no shofatim outside of the land of Israel.
Right. So we
Everywhere.
Huh?
But the Shema tells us when we turn our back.
The Shofatim?
Yeah, shofatim, it's shalom mitzvot enough. There has to be a court system everywhere.
That's right. There has to be a court system. Good. Everywhere, right?
Seems like it's in the days of our judges.
So we're talking about, yeah. But the truth of the matter is, Vayelech ish mi bet lechem Yehuda lagor b'stei Moab. So we don't need the Ba'aretz, right? Because we know we're talking about Eretz Yisrael in another second, right? Okay, so the Ba'aretz is an insertion. What do you want to do with that? How do you want to be Doreshet?
You have to have Aretz because the Shema tells us the Aretz will provide for us. And when we don't do what we're supposed to do, the Aretz will not provide and it will expel us.
Okay.
What is expelling? With lechem, with no bread.
Very nice. So very nice. This is how you work it. So the Aretz has a persona,
Right.
right? The Aretz has a persona, huh? And from the place where everybody has bread. What?
Right.
It's shouting. But you can blow through the pasuk. Huh?
Have you ever heard that?
Which one?
Bet Lechem?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Extra irony.
Yeah. No, it's great. No, because tell me they're Ba'aretz. Tell me they're from Yehuda. I don't need Mibet Lechem Yehuda. Ba'aretz Mibet Lechem Yehuda. You're shouting, you're putting it in my face.
Right.
Right? Beautiful. I love the one that the Aretz is a persona. It's alive. It has a energy. It has an opinion.
It reacts to us.
And it reacts. Beautiful.
Also, I was gonna say, Shafet HaShaftim, like, why is it saying the judge is judged? What else were they doing?
Good. What else are they doing? Good. So we have to be Doreshet.
Yeah,
We have to Doresh it, right? And how did we Doresh it?
I was sleeping.
Huh?
I was sleeping.
Oh, yeah.
That the judges were being judged by the average people because they were so corrupt. They would go and say, you did this, you're guilty. And they would be like, but you did this. Why are
Right.
you judging me?
Return the pole, but you got to return the beam. That's the midrash that they bring. And so the judges were worse than the people. Great. Bet Lechem. Come on. The Ra'av is in the place of Lech. By the way, we know when we do the Omer, right? we go to this part of the country first, the greater Jerusalem area, because that's where stuff ripens first. So that's where we start to tie the Omer, right? From this area. Good. Lagor b'Seder Moav, as we said, the difference between Lagor and Lashevet is what? Lagor is
Lashevet is like for,
Settled.
like you're settled, you're there. for a
beautiful.
while.
Beautiful. So what did they do? They went to Lagor. How long is it? Lagor, it's months. It's not years. It's not more. Good. Hu v'ishto shnei banav. What do we say about that? What do we say about that? Hu v'ishto shnei banav. Remember? Hu v'ishto v'shnei banav. First pasuk. Ish hu v'ishto v'shnei banav. So we said they list the names in the second pasuk. Right.
We could have gotten in the proof. He said, "Vishto Shebana."
Yeah, right. So beautiful, right? We don't have to call them out and then give them a name. Call them out means they were special people, then we're giving them a name. Good, good. David, teach us the second pasuk, V'shem Ha'ish. Where are you?
So when it doesn't go directly into the person's name, and it just announces that there is this person, it's talking about his stature. It's not talking about the person. It's talking about the good deeds or the greatness that came before him.
Beautiful.
That's what we said.
Beautiful.
Be still.
Huh?
Be still. Be still.
Yeah, what is the word sadeh? David, we didn't learn this together. What is the word sadeh?
But there's field, but we didn't hit on it.
This is very, very important.
It's like
very
we said, it was like complete anarchy.
Right. The sadeh is a place of lack of order. So when the term is used in the Tanakh, the term sadeh, it's a place of lack of order.
I thought it means the sadeh is like very mystical. Sadeh is
It could be. It could. Why is it mystical?
because the sadeh is like isn't that
Lastuach basadeh, right? They went to pray, to meditate in the sadeh. So it's the same. It's the same idea. How come the
that world of mysticality?
Yeah, how come that word the sadeh could be more mystical than the town or the village?
That's what they always use.
Yeah, but why? Work it. You're right. You're right.
Why?
Why?
Distractions. You're on
Huh?
your own. There's no distractions.
And
It's like has to do with creation about like Gan Eden. The sadeh.
okay, but use the same logic, right? We're saying the sadeh is less civilized, less organized, right? It's less structured. It's less protected. When you see the term
No
sadeh,
outside influences. There's no outside influences.
there's all
It's a zoo, no?
there's all exactly. So the constrictions and the order and the structure that we have in a village or a town, we don't have in the sadeh. Therefore, somebody could hang around in the sadeh and meditate because he doesn't have those constrictions. He doesn't have that establishment, right? The sadeh is like the Wild West. It's more open. It's more free flowing, right? So it goes to say.
Talked about Esau.
Exactly. So he was Ish Sadeh and Yaakov was Yoshev.
Yoshev.
Beautiful. So
And
one
that's one
ran.
of the people who are introduced that way, like Noah, where they're introduced before they were born, and then as soon as they are born, it says their names, and then it says one was
Beautiful. To
Sadeh.
qualify. Excellent. Now, David, we didn't talk about this and we didn't talk about this. Elimelech. What do you want to do with his name?
Hashem.
Huh?
Hashem. Eli.
No, we talked about it. He named himself. That wasn't his original name.
So good. So what do we say about Elimelech's name? I don't think we talked about his name
his
specifically.
name is
Maybe.
Hashem is my king.
Huh?
Hashem is my king.
Mm-mm.
No,
That's what you would think.
that's how.
Come on. Elimelech. Eli Melech.
I'm the king.
Our king.
Huh? No, forget the Hashem thing.
I'm the king. He
Forget Hashem.
himself,
What?
he himself is the king.
Say that.
I'm getting the.
I'm getting the kingship. Beauty. What did Elimelech think?
Coming to me.
It's coming from me.
Yeah.
Elimelech thought
He's-
that King David was coming from him because he saw this vision that, and essentially it comes from the people right next to him because he messed up. But in fact, Eli Melech, the Melech didn't come from me. That's pretty good. So everybody's name attaches to them their vision, their direction, their whatever. So Elimelech thought that King David was going to come from him, right? He and Naomi are, Naomi is his niece. He married his niece, right? Elimelech marries his niece. Boaz is his nephew. Ploni Ammoni, really told, is his brother. Yeah, brother. This is his brother, right? Okay. So in the end, it was supposed to come from him. It doesn't come from him. It moves over because of his failure. But the term Elimelech also may not be his real name.
Rabbi, the vision that Elimelech got, that David was going to come from him, this was before his test and downfall?
For sure. Absolutely
So-
right.
So it was the proper prophecy, but then because he messed up, he lost it.
That's right. Exactly. Good. What does it mean by Yehusham? What is to be by Yehusham? It's completely true. They were in the end of Pasuk Bet. They go
And they stayed
down.
there,
Huh?
and they stayed there. They weren't Lagor
Do
anymore.
you need it? So it should have says Vayeshvu Sham, because the opposite of Lagor is Lashevet. It doesn't say that. It says Vayehiyu Sham, meaning what?
They were there.
Huh?
They were there.
Where in what way?
Transient.
Huh?
I would say transient, but
But
it's the
the-
opposite.
It's the opposite. So what is it? What is Lihiyot?
Be.
They were
To
steeped-
be.
they let-
Huh?
They were steeped in it.
They were steeped in it. They became it.
They went from the Sadeh to the
Beautiful.
year.
They went from the Sadet to the ear in their own lifestyle and their own values. So Vayehiyu Sham, again, completely extra. You told me they're in Stem Moab, they're in Stem Moab. I don't need the words Vayehiyu Sham, David, we didn't talk about this. They are completely extra. What does it mean? They became the place. The whole pasuk is extra, right? Right?
Completely.
Completely. They
Saying their name
became, that's what they became. Yeah, stay. Let's just tease out another minute, okay? Okay, 2 more minutes. Let's tease out 1 more minute on this thing. The Moabites were what?
The children from,
From Lot?
Lot, yeah, and
Okay.
his,
And what did they come to represent vis-a-vis the Jewish people? Promiscuity and idol worship. That's what they come to represent, the Moabites, right? Okay. These two things. They don't go to the ear. Why? Because they want to avoid it. Right? Beauty. They don't go to the ear because they want to avoid it. So they go to the sadeh, right? Which is a little more rough and tumble, a little more open, a little more raw.
Yeah,
And
but
they're-
it's more secluded, and that's what Elimelech wanted.
I'm sorry?
It's more secluded. You know, he wanted to get away from everybody, I thought, so that he doesn't have to deal with people coming for requests, for money, for food, for whatever. Just leave me alone. Let me do my thing.
We're
Goodbye.
talking about the Sadot of Moab versus the ear of Moab, the cities of Moab. What do you think?
Well, they're on the periphery.
They're on the periphery, but, or I don't know, but what does the Vayehiyu Sham do to the fact that they're on the periphery?
it didn't work.
It didn't work. It didn't work. Vayehiyu Sham, and they were planted there. Good.
So he tried the city first?
Huh?
He tried the city first and it didn't work?
Doesn't sound like he tried the city, but it sounds like his attempt to separate wasn't successful.
Why wasn't it be successful if he stayed there?
Huh?
Why wasn't it successful? if he
Because it
stayed?
sounds like they incorporated some of those values, even though they maybe weren't as absolute and overt as they were, had he been in the city. It sounds like they incorporated some of those values.
We'll see very soon. They stayed there for 7 years. That definitely is a pyramid.
Yeah. Now, I want to touch on one other thing, and again, we'll leave it as an open point for now, but it's important to think about. The Kabbalistic opinion is this. Kabbalistic opinion is, and I'd love to hear you, that the daughter of Lot, the younger daughter, who becomes the mother of Moab, you know, from having relations with the father, is she is reincarnated to be Tamar. She has a Gilgul to be Tamar. And then she has Gilgul again to be Ruth. So this young lady,
Is the parents of Mashiach in every sense.
that's right, in every sense. It started with her and it ended with her, according to this opinion. So And it goes like this, and it's a very interesting slant on the whole Gilgul thing altogether. It says that the first relations that she went into with her father were the most banal and vile. She steps it up as Tamar. By the way, we say Tamar. Tamar is the person we need to study. We say Tamar has a lot of Abraham in her. She really, the rabbis look at her with great reverence, you know? But the relations that she and Yehuda had were also not fully on the up and up, right? So you go to not on the up and up at all, to somewhat on the up and up, but not really, to superstar relations between
So
her.
she had to grow. She had to pass her tests.
Okay,
She
good.
reached her potential.
Good, David, beautiful. So we are holding that. So now we have to go back and look at root differently, because root is not just root. If you're going to hold by this, I think, which I think is very exciting. Root is Tamar. Root is the daughter, I forget her name, of Lot's second daughter. Huh?
Yeah, Lot's daughter. Uh-huh.
Yeah, Lot's second daughter, younger daughter. Huh? 1 second. So now what I have to do is I have to go back. I have to look at the first lady. I have to look at the second lady. Now I understand root. That's the only way. That's how we get it. So the sidebar question is, why are you bringing out the greatest person in Jewish history this way? Why?
What, did she have a challenge, Ruth, in terms of immorality and?
So that's a very big question, David. It's a very big question. And the rabbis come out on both sides of that thing. Most of them hold that she did not. And that's why it says that she was following the Kotzrim, and she didn't put herself with the Aniyim, and the Kotzrim that she was following, the harvesters that she was following, were really students of Boaz, who were B'nai Torah.
And did sleep at his feet.
Huh?
Did
Yeah.
sleep at his feet.
So we have to look at that very, very carefully. We
We
have to
didn't
look
do
at,
anything.
right, we have to, now she's sent on the behest of her mother-in-law, and our rabbis say that she changed she didn't go exactly by Naomi's directive. She makes some of her own decisions there. So that's part of what we have to look at with her. But I think the sidebar, and it's too quick and easy, so I don't want you to hold by it, but I just want to say it anyway. I think the sidebar is that the Geulah is messy. I think that's the sidebar. And I think that's okay, because I think as a background thought, it's good to hold that, but it's not enough. Yeah.
So the younger son younger son was Ben-Ami, who was the ancestor of Ammon. The older son was Moab.
Oh, the older one. Okay, apologies. The older one was
The
Moab.
commentaries say that the younger had more merit than the older.
Why?
Because of the names that they gave to their children.
Yeah.
Moab means from father, which is obviously disgracing the son. Ben-Ami.
Yeah. And in the end, we come from Moab. In the end, it all comes from Moab. Good. So there's many, many, many layers to this. We've touched on it somewhat, but do a little bit more. And it's the world, and it's yeah. I mean, we could just go for we did 4 hours on 7 Pesukim. We could go back and do the same 7 Pesukim, another 4 hours, and touch on all new points. That's the beautiful part of it. I was saying that this book, has fairly comprehensive in terms of Mefarshim, but there's tens and tens and tens of more.
So what are you saying, Rabbi? You're going to loosen the tie, take off the jacket, and we're going to start right now?
I don't know. We'll see.
We'll add it to the list.
Do you all know each other or no?
We met a few times.
Oh, you met. Great.
Well, I know Joey. I know. So the Levies are always talked about with such love by Rabbi Cohen, but I know Joey is his brother for I don't know how many years already.
Baseball, right? Softball?
No, mortgages.
Oh, okay.
When
What?
Joey started with Norman Calvo at Universal, I was starting at Republic National Bank. We started at the same time. We've come up together. We've known each other. We even tried to use him when he was at with Jack Ezon a little bit when we did a Israel trip. You know, so Joey is loved.
So nice. Thank you for saying so.
But I think Izzy's the better brother, right, Rabbi?
David has a very, very nice shita when it comes to learning.
Yeah.
What's your shita, David?
I don't know. What is it?
Huh?
I don't know.
He always walks in with some fine alcoholic beverage.
Oh, so it's just a matter to loosen things up.
I drink the thing and I fall asleep. Now I'm becoming an expert at 9 in the morning,
No, we wait till 11, Rabbi. Don't worry.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
Good things.
Thank you, Rabbi, for the class. Thank you, Levi.
See you soon. Thank you.
All right, everybody.